Hi guys. So, not too much going on today, and I don't really anticipate too much is going to happen. We are supposed to get some snow tomorrow, but otherwise, I anticipate this being a pretty chill day, but yesterday was pretty hectic. Um, I went down to Maryland to get some things sorted out with the landlord and my roommates, and that worked out pretty much actually. It was very chill, and it looks like I'm going to be able to find a replacement for myself. Uh, so as soon as I do, I'll be able to start building up a nest egg of funds for Atlanta. From there, I pretty much drove down to Alexandria for uh, the date that I mentioned before, and that's kind of thing. Oh, that's kind of where things got dodgy. Uh, I got stuck in traffic. Uh, Not in the usual way. There was um a car that had broken down and a truck attending to it, and this was on like a really busy bridge on a really busy bridge in DC. And when I tried to merge out of the lane I was in, I was like stuck behind the broken down car. Um, my dad's Volkswagen, which I was driving at the time, because uh, getting the brakes on my Hyundai fixed got dinged by another car that then drove away. I don't really blame it either because not exactly a great environment to be in to sit down and swap insurance information. And from there, uh, I did make it to Alexandria. I met up with the guy I mentioned before, and things were going pretty well at first. Uh, the last time we met up, yeah, the last time we met up, we did have some issues or whatever. Um, Things were pretty much fine at first, and then things kind of changed where when we were passing like some stupid heart graffiti or whatever, and I made like a comment about wanting to be romantic. And to clarify, we had like flirted and stuff before. So I know I wasn't like imagining things. Like he alluded to wanting to do like sexual stuff, so I know it wasn't in my head or whatever. Um, but basically, ah, he like pretty much clarified that he only saw us as friends, which I wasn't really aware of. Uh, but he kind of said that, you know, that didn't mean he felt like strictly platonically or whatever. And he clarified that he was kind of like a uh, slow cooking guy in terms of relationships, as far as he put it. Like he wanted to take a while on building a friendship before he got into a relationship. And uh I mean, we like discussed our differences, and like I'm pretty much of the opinion, I kind of want to know if I'm dating somebody. I'm always down to make new friends or the like, but I don't want like somebody who's taking up, I guess, like the boyfriend or the dating slot in my life, while also being in the friend slot. Like, I mean, in the sense that I don't want somebody wasting my time or whatever, while refusing to, like, be the boyfriend label in a sense. Like, kind of cutting it down to the quick, I don't want to be kept in somebody's back pocket. And I don't think that's what he was trying to do intentionally. I generally think he's like a good, smart guy. But at the same time, I was kind of noticing while we were hanging out that, you know, he was making me feel really bad about myself. I don't necessarily think he was like intending to or whatever, but he seemed like so quick to chalk things up to my autism or some of the bad things that have happened in my past. And, I found it kind of odd because to a certain extent he was saying things like, well, we can't really say this, and that about each other because we haven't known each other that long. This was like the third time we've hung out, but we've been talking for like a couple months now. And I like consider that a thing. It's not like we just started talking yesterday or whatever. Talking via text is what I mean. So, I don't know. I felt really bad about myself, is all. Like, while we were hanging out, he started taking a video of me, and he was kind of back and forth about whether it was just like a personal thing and or whether he was doing like a Vice style documentary. He's like a journalist. And he actually did want to properly interview me. Like, he asked me questions while recording me and called it an interview. And just made me feel really objectified in a sense. I really didn't like it, but I didn't really want to say too much about it because I'm not always somebody who likes to make waves, especially not in that kind of situation. And kind of compounding all this, it was a hiking date, so uh we were like walking for about 4 or 5 hours while this was going on, which was kind of compounding the stress a bit, I guess. Like toward the ends, uh when we were walking back, and we were partly walking back together because, I mean, I didn't know the way back to the parking spot. I don't live in Alexandria. But he, like, kept getting further and further away. And I think maybe he thought I was tired, but I don't know. It just seemed kind of, like, uncaring. Like, I wouldn't do that to somebody. I wouldn't do that to a friend while I was hanging out with them, I guess is what I'm saying. Uh, and then at least once he tried to like opt out of leading me back, hoping that I knew where the parking spot was, where the parking lot was, where I'd left my car. I was kind of like, well, no, I don't know the way back. I mean, that's literally what I was said, but like mentally, I was feeling a little bit audacious about it. And then, uh, we part ways, and I make it back to my car. And as I'm driving on the way back up to the apartment that I'm still renting, uh, I noticed something seems like kind of screwy with the tire on the Volkswagen. At least like once I hear air coming out of it. So of course I freak out a little bit and like pull off and park, and I like parked in, I think it was called Potomac East Park, but I was kind of definitely scared because I felt like I didn't know what was wrong with the tire, and you know, I was alone and freaking freezing. I think it was like 20 degrees out. Parked alone in DC, God knows where. So I went through the motions of calling AAA. At one point, I called my friends to come down for me, which they were willing to do, but then I talked to my dad and realized there was a spare tire in the car. And then I kind of called that off because I thought, oh, I just need a new tire. So, AAA was very helpful. I was like very, very glad for the lady I was talking to. Um, the way she kind of helped me talk through the process of figuring out exactly where I was because my GPS was like being vague about it for whatever reason. Um, but yeah. So eventually I'm able to flag down the truck for AAA. They find me and uh like the guy who showed up basically told me there was nothing wrong with the tire. Um and that was just sort of like, it's weird. There's like a problem. There is an issue with the car. The dent from earlier seemed to be like poking air out of the tire somehow or pushing air out of the tire. I'm not entirely sure how that works. Like, he told me that about 15 pounds of air had been pushed out of the tire, so I consider that an issue. But basically, uh, he refilled the tire with air, and it still sounded like really sketchy. When I was driving back to my apartment, and I did hear like air popping out of it. I did hear the wheel dragging and all this stuff. And by that point, it was like 9 or 10 at night. I really didn't feel like driving it all the way back up to Harrisburg, especially after the day I'd had. I was like very stressed. Like, uh, one of my friends even like called to talk me down because I was so fucking bummed about the way the day had turned out. I was very frustrated. Uh, and because I had like parked near a 7-Eleven, I was able to get like a slushy and that cheered me up a bit. Anyway, though, yeah. So I make it back to the apartment and I pretty much decided to spend the night there, and I mostly did, but I woke up at like 3 in the morning and I felt like weirdly wired. So, partly because I had come down to move more stuff back up to my parents' place. Of course, I like started doing that, and it was like really surreal. Like most of the stuff I had to move was clothing stuff, and I still haven't gotten everything. But it was kind of like me going back and forth to my car with like plastic bags in the middle of the night, which was kind of funny. And then at a certain point, I kind of decided, if I've got this energy and it's like morning anyway, I may as well just like drive back up anyway. So, um, I talked with my dad earlier, or had talked with my dad earlier, a little bit about the dent and realized I would kind of need to like buff it a bit so it wouldn't lose more air while I was driving up. So I took a look at it. I downloaded the Super Flashlight app on my new phone. I took a look at the dents and Uh, I basically grabbed this wrench and I started kind of like, uh, I jabbed into like the underside of, what's the word for it? The part that's like above the wheel. The part of the car that's like above the wheel. I jammed the wrench in there and I kind of like, you know, levered it outwards. I did that. Uh, I was kind of that way able to prevent the dent from like taking any more air from me while I was driving home. Uh, and I did notice I didn't really lose more air while I was driving home, so I think that was mostly okay. The car wasn't really like damaged badly specifically or anything, which thank God everything was okay. My parents were very understanding about everything. Uh, though they did kind of think I was like a home invader when I was coming back in the morning and I was unlocking like the front door and the deadbolt. My dad actually like caught me at the door and pulled open. He said he was like prepared to stomp my head in because he thought I was like a home invader or whatever. Um, but yeah, so everything turned out pretty okay. Uh, my legs are really freaking sore, so I've just kind of been like chilling today. My dad made a ton of deviled eggs yesterday, so that was cool. Um, yeah, I guess it was like an adventure. Uh, I'm just really glad that you know everything worked out with my landlord and that my parents are chill about things and uh I guess I may still try to be like friends with the guy I mentioned, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like date other guys and find somebody to this sounds so clinical, fill that slot or whatever, you know. I think it's the most normal thing on the planet to want to find love, to be in a relationship, to want to date. It's like the subject of so many movies and TV series after all. Uh, and the guy I mentioned before, I don't know, he did make me feel a little bit bad about it. Like, he suggested I was like desperate to be in a relationship, which I'm not. I mean, I want to find love and all that, but that doesn't mean I'll put up with being treated badly just to be in a relationship or try to make any dynamic that I fall into work. But yeah, so that was my day yesterday, and I guess that kind of covers me for today too. Just hanging out. Thanks for listening, you guys. I hope you all stay safe out on the road. Always carry a spare tire, and have a good one.